Thank you, Senator Lyons, for your contribution. Senator Muir.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I would just like to make a quick note of thanking Senator Hanson-Young for actually giving up her time slot for me to read my thoughts into Hansard. I'm about to read an extract from a speech I recently made in relation to important social issues such as marriage, equality and mental health. I apologise to those who have already heard it, but I think it's important for me to put my view on the record here in Parliament permanently, forever. Recently, I had a meeting with a Victorian constituent, Amber, from Reach Out, and this meeting was essentially in relation to the spread of the drug ice, how it's affecting local communities and how to prevent the spread of this drug that destroys so many lives. Quickly from there, the meeting progressed into a broader discussion covering mental health issues and services that traditionally haven't been available, which now are, although a lot of people are not aware of them. We put a lot of effort into looking for a cure to mental health issues, but it seems that sometimes the cure could be found by allowing people to know that it's normal to experience different emotions. It's normal to be different. To know that you are not alone and that there is help ready and waiting if you choose to seek it. It's definitely not something to feel ashamed of. It is said that the #1 cause of death for people under 24 years of age is suicide. And this is a completely alarming statistic and leads me to the question of what can be done to prevent so many young people taking their lives every year. While I don't have the answer, I encourage everybody in this great chamber to consider this question and to start conversations about it. For me, I think a good starting point is for us to acknowledge that everybody is different, that we all like different things, we all have different tastes and lead totally different lifestyles. We need to become more aware and accepting of this and learn not to pass judgment so quickly, to embrace each other's differences and be respectful of it. An issue that is prominent at the moment is this issue, the issue of marriage equality. I've heard both sides of the story and read many emails and articles in relation to it, and I understand that everybody has a different view, and I am respectful of that. Beyond Blue has recently revealed that rural same-sex couples are 6 times more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, self-harm or suicidal thoughts. For me, especially being a rural person, this greatly concerns me, as I honestly believe that a life in the most remote corner of our great country is just as important of a life anywhere else. Marriage equality is an issue that seems to arise around election cycles, and it would seem that the hopes, aspirations and well-being of many Australians are used for political point scoring. This alone was the very reason I've actually kept my view in relation to marriage equality quiet until now. The next election is set for a bit later in 2016, but you just never know around this place. I heard that, Mr Dastiari. So instead of waiting for an election cycle and using this issue to gather votes rather than outcomes, I thought it would be better to come out with my views now. On Wednesday the 10th of June, I attended a mental health information night hosted by reachout.com, or Reach Out Australia, in the rural town of Hayfield in Gippsland, Victoria. On this night, I publicly declared my position on marriage equality and put my view on the record. It was an interesting place to put my view on the record, being a rural town. I didn't know if 5 people were going to turn up or 200 people were going to turn up or if I was going to be presented with protesters. But I thought it's that much of an important issue that I was happy to put my view on the record there. It is said that country people are not yet ready for this change, but many rural folk of all different backgrounds tell me that they are. These people are just like myself. And since making my stance public, and it got well known on social media, the majority of my emails and correspondence, people I've spoken to since, are still in support. The ratio by far outweighs the people who are speaking negatively about it. There are many people living within rural communities who are already in happy, meaningful and fulfilling relationships, or same-sex relationships. There are also many who are completely aware and supportive of this, who are in heterosexual relationships. I do not think it's up to large lobby groups or political parties to tell us what we are or are not ready for. The reality is, the majority of people that I've spoken to or have contacted me seem to overwhelmingly accept the lifestyles of others and do not feel threatened by a change to the Marriage Act. When I stood as a candidate for the AMEP, one of the core values of the party that stood out to me was we believe in minimal government interference. The topic of marriage equality is a standout example of how I interpret this value. We know people can be attracted to the same sex through no choice of their own and that they are born this way. We know that people hold on to this feeling and even try to hide it for many years, even for a whole lifetime. And I have a massive amount of emails of such people saying so. We know that homosexual people force themselves into being into heterosexual relationships, which can cause marital issues further down the line. We know that the way same-sex couples are still at times perceived in a way in public can cause great amounts of stress and depression. But does it really affect any of us if the Marriage Act is amended to allow marriage equality? No. No, in my view, no, it doesn't. It will give those who are already in a same-sex relationship or who are genuinely attracted to somebody of the same sex the option to have their union recognised the same as everybody else if they choose to get married. Doesn't mean everybody in a same-sex relationship is going to run off and get married. It just gives them that option to get married if they choose to do so, to be recognised just like the rest of us. It will not affect those who are in a heterosexual relationship, but it will hopefully be a step in the right direction in accepting that we are not all the same and that all people have the right to live their lives without judgment. I'm not a religious man. However, I was raised around religion, and some of those values have stuck with me through the years. Values such as, if you can't say something nice, say nothing. Be respectful, be forgiving. But mostly, one that always stands out is, to me, and apparently was a commandment, is not to judge. I'm a family man. I ride dirt bikes, camp, four-wheel drive, I race cars, and I love getting my hands dirty. I love to live my life without judgment, and I like to return that favour. If marriage equality was put to a conscience vote and my vote was the deciding vote, a change to the Marriage Act would occur. If a decision to put the question to a plebiscite was to be on offer, I too would support this to allow the people of Australia to make their vote count. In conclusion, just like I said in Heyford that night, I'm proud to put on the record my support of marriage equality, and I'm even prouder to stand here in this chamber and say so. Thank you.